watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.
And good afternoon, welcome to the Scottish Football Zone on a late Sunday afternoon, and it was a late show at Tynecastle this afternoon between the bid two. It was Hearts 2, Celtic 2. We'll get into the game. We'll get into the Rangers game as well. They were playing today. And there's a lot of goals to talk about this weekend, guys. So we'll get into them as well. Joined today, as always, by Ethan and Robbie to talk about the game. But before we start digging into the game, because I know that there's a lot to dig into, turn your attention to tomorrow night. We've got Anthony Joseph joining us on the show from Sky Sports, looking at the ins and outs of the clubs in Scottish football, the transfer window. Of course, it shuts on Friday. We'll be on Friday, but Robbie, Reagan, and my good self will be on tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. So join us for that one. Only if you subscribe to the Scottish Football Zone, you will get notifications when we go live. And also on Tuesday night, we've got the women's football show as well that kicks off at 7 o'clock. Right, so get your comments coming in about the game. So 2 each at Funners get Tynecastle today. Ethan, Celtic was going into the game on the back of a difficult game on first night against Bologna. They got off to a good start through Nigel Blount free kick, but after that, it was like backs to the wall for Celtic.
Yeah, it certainly was, and I completely agree. I think Celtic started the game on the front foot. They had some decent moments without really creating many chances. Then they get one of the first of what must be the most free kicks or fouls I've ever seen in a match. There was so many. I think McLean, although he given a lot out, I think, yeah, some of the ones specifically towards the end as well were just, I don't know what was going on. But yeah, I heard the stat about Celtic not scoring a goal, a free kick in the Scottish Premiership in a number of seasons the other day. And of course, when Sky flash it up on the screen, the last player to score it in January 2021, I think it was David Turnbull. Of course, that's when Celtic finally break that duck, and it was a really good hit from Benjamin Negrin. I don't think Craig Godwin could really have done much. I think the Hearts wall maybe could have jumped a wee bit quicker, especially the ones in the middle, but maybe I'm taking some credit away from Benjamin Negrin, who obviously didn't start the game the other night and was probably one of the more fresher players, although I don't know if he looked that way, because I think Celtic, for pretty much the whole team was pretty poor, apart from maybe Ulaine Araujo. I thought he had a decent game, and the striker, Thomas Chivernova, I've not got that name down quite yet. I don't know if any have got anything better, but yeah, I thought he was okay in points as well, but still wasn't great. And I thought after that, Hearts completely dominated. They pressed Celtic really high. They were intense. They were winning the second balls. They were winning a lot of fouls in dangerous areas, throwing a lot of balls into the box, causing Celtic a lot of problems. Probably shouldn't have scored before they did, because Reidis had 2 massive chances on top of the chances that Hearts take. So yeah, I think Hearts were probably, although they get the equaliser in the end, they'll look back and feel themselves unlucky that they don't take 3 points. But then again, they didn't really need to win that match, whereas I think Celtic did.
Robbie, what was your take on the 98 minutes today?
I thought Ethan summed it up pretty well. It was a bit hectic towards the last sort of 10-15. It's felt like a referee was blowing every 2 seconds for a foul either way, but I didn't think he actually got much wrong, to be honest. And I know we'll go and talk about the red card incident with Austin Trusty and all that sort of stuff, but I thought he handled himself pretty well throughout the whole match. And I thought it was an entertaining match, to be honest. Both teams were sort of going at each other. I think Ethan was right. Hearts, with the way they pressed and the tempo they were playing it, was a bit better than Celtic, I thought, and I think you could see that was a Celtic team that had just played 65 odd minutes away in Italy on Thursday night, and believably so they're going to be tired after that. So I'm not surprised Hearts created a bit more, had a bit more possession, but I thought Celtic, they handled themselves all right, to be fair. I think they'll maybe feel disappointed, even I don't know if you feel a bit disappointed with both goals, considering they both come to set pieces. Pretty poor marking for set pieces as well, you've got to say, for both of them. So I don't know if Celtic fans will feel a bit agitated with that, but overall, I thought a draw was a fair result. You obviously look across the city at Glasgow, at Ibrox, and see what's happening there. You obviously Rangers won 3-0, a big result for them against a pretty informed Dundee. So I'm sure Celtic fans will feel somewhat disappointed that they never managed to get away with a win, considering what has happened elsewhere. But I mean, make no mistake, it's a brilliant point for Hearts, and it keeps their momentum going as well. There was a lot of questions about whether they could do it without Devlin and without Shankland and Beningame, and I think they proved they could. I like the look at that new player, Leonard, I think that's how you pronounce it. He looks great. So it looks like the recruitment has been good again, and anybody that's had to replace the key players has done a pretty good job at it.
Before we get into the incidents today, that's why I invited Des on the show, because I thought, well, top of the table class, let's have an ex-ref on the show, because I knew that there was a lot of incident on the game today. But I mean, I don't know what happened to Celtic today. Obviously, we'll speak about Hearts in a minute, but I mean, they came off a big game on Thursday night, a point you would maybe sit with a cup of tea or whatever you do tonight, even they say maybe Celtic done well getting a point, because obviously you take Thursday night into mind and they had to defend for the last 20 minutes of the game as well, and obviously Klasky gets sent off as well. So I think overall Celtic might be disappointed, but they could be, a bit content with a point going to Tynecastle.
Yeah, I think they'll be disappointed with how they performed, but I don't think they can really have any complaints about the outcome of the match. I think they were less deserving of a point than Hearts certainly were, and I think Hearts probably on another day, if they take their chances, take all three. Celtic took their 2 goals well created. Obviously, one's from a free kick, but a good goal nonetheless. But yeah, Hearts created a lot more, and they'll see it as a slight missed opportunity in that way that they don't take 3 points and really knock Celtic out the title race. I think Celtic are still in it with a slender chance, but now it's not in Celtic's hands in that way that if Hearts were to win all their games, barring the one against Celtic, then Hearts would obviously still be ahead of Celtic. So yeah, Hearts, it's a good result, a good point for them. It carries on the momentum, or gets them back on track. Carries on the league momentum anyway, and gets them back on track after the defeat to Falkirk last weekend. And yeah, as I said, I think we'll learn a lot about where Hearts really lie compared to Danny Rowe's Rangers. Obviously, they've already played at Tynecastle, and Hearts obviously won that one 2-1. But I think it'll be a different story going to Ibrox. And if Hearts are to come away with that from that match with even a point, then I still probably have Hearts slight favourites ahead of Rangers at the minute. But I think it's between the two, unless Celtic can somehow go on a remarkable run. But I think what we've seen this weekend is the Motherwell and Falkirk, especially at the moment. But I would even put Hibs in that bracket, that these teams are going to be well capable of taking points off the top 3. So yeah, I think it's far from done. But yeah, I think Hearts are probably still slightly the favourites at the minute. But yeah, I think Celtic have fell behind Rangers. If anybody had Celtic above Rangers, which I didn't, I thought I had Celtic as my third favourites going into this match. And unless Celtic had came away with 3 points, it probably would have stayed that way.
Well, I mean, I think for me, Des, like the big winners of today was Rangers, because I think they would get suited. Both teams could have a 0-0 draw, 2 each draw, or 5 each draw today as well. But I mean, let's speak about the man in the middle today. I think the Hearts fans weren't happy with him. I think the Celtic fans weren't happy with him when Klasky gets in off. What was your take on the game overall? And then obviously, what was your take on the match officials today?
Des, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, guys. I think in the first half, I thought he was pretty good in the first half. I thought he was allowing tackles to go ahead, which you're going to get with a top of the table clash. Moving into the second half, I thought he looked a wee bit edgy in the second half, and that's what's going to happen. Obviously, when it's that game. Regarding the trusty red card, don't think it's a red card. I think it was far too much work to be done. The ball was going out towards the corner flag. It wasn't within his possession. It wasn't an obvious goal scoring opportunity. He still had to get there. I'd have been happy with a yellow card there. It had to be sanctioned, obviously, but I think a yellow card was enough. And then I think Taneke got a yellow card over on the Wheatfield stand. Not much in it, but I think he done okay. I wouldn't say I wouldn't give him 5 stars, but I thought he done okay. But the biggest controversy is it's also going to be the red card, and for me, it's not a red card. And what I'm more concerned about is why has John Beaton, as VAR, got him across for that, because there was far too much to go. So I would say VAR is at the issue in that one.
Is that the sort of first thing that VAR will be thinking about then? When the referee gets called over, will the referee be thinking about, all right, well, there's still so much today in that moment. We don't know whether the player's even going to get to the ball. We don't know if Scales is going to get back to track him and defend the...
Robbie, it shouldn't. You should just look at it on its own merits. And on its own merits. Now, I'm saying that in front of you guys. What do you think? Is he going to get that ball? Is that denying always goal scoring opportunity? No, it's not. Because you cannot guarantee. If you look at the Hearts-Dundee game the other week there, the Dundee player had a chance, had an opportunity to play the ball. The Hearts player today didn't have a chance to play the ball. The ball was gone. Am I wrong?
No, I can see when I was watching it, I thought that it would, if it was to be a red card, it would be really harsh on Austin Trusty, because they're both kind of making contact with their arms, which is always going to happen when the players are running for the ball. And then even with the leg contact, Austin Trusty's running, and I know Kabori's ahead of him and he's going to be favourite to get to the ball that's travelling out wide, but I thought it would be a harsh red card, and I thought it was a harsh red card. I can see why it was maybe given as a red card, but obviously I'm going to trust Dez's opinion over mine. But yeah, I can see why Dez is saying that. It doesn't surprise me too much, but then again, I don't think Celtic can really have any complaints. I think although the decision goes against them and it obviously helps Hearts get the equaliser, I don't think Celtic were good enough to really I don't know, earn anything from the match. Obviously they get the point, but yeah, I don't think Celtic should be falling back on that. I think the realisation will be that Celtic weren't good enough today, and Hearts they probably could have taken 3 points pretty easily.
Ethan, would you say as a Celtic fan, are you quite disappointed with the decision making? Because as much as Des is right, the ball's not even going towards the box and all the factors, but it doesn't make it a red card. Are you more annoyed at Trusty's decision making in that situation? I don't think there's a need to really run into him the way you did, and that's sort of been twice now in the last 2 games where Celtic's decision making's probably cost them more than 2 draws.
Well, I don't really know if Trusty runs into him. The way I seen it was that they were both, as their attacking and defending player would do, going for the ball, they're making contact with each other, brushing past each other, and then Trusty, Kabori's running in front, and they make a connection with each other's legs. But I don't know really what Trusty's meant to do. He's running towards the ball, and maybe it's a different scenario of the ball heading straight through and goal. And but yeah, I think it was just harsh. I don't really put too much blame on Austin Trusty for that one, to be honest. The other night, I think Rio Hatate was unlucky with his second yellow. I think the first yellow card was stupid and naive, and was certainly a yellow card. The first one, you can see why it get given as a second yellow, although I think both decisions are harsh. But I don't think Celtic were good enough, really. I think they need to probably look at the performance as a whole. And although they took their 2 goals really well, 2 well-worked goals, I think Hearts were the better team, and it probably would have been a disservice to them if they hadn't got something from the game. So, but a big decision which will probably be looked back on for weeks. I don't know if Celtic will make a complaint about it or anything like that. I don't expect them to, but we'll see what happens in the coming days.
Ethan, just what you're saying there, are you not aligned that you think Hatate should have had a red card in Bologna?
No, I think he was unlucky, but I think I can see why they gave the red card. I think he gets caught. The first one certainly a yellow card. The second one, by the letter of the law, probably is a yellow card. He hits out at the.
See the fact that he throws out his arm, and tries to strike his opponent, and then also comes down on the back of his ankle.
Yeah. I know. I'm not saying it's not a red card. I can completely agree and see why he's gave the yellow card. I just thought he got unlucky in that way that I didn't think there was too much in it.
I don't think it's unlucky at all. If I was his manager, and also I've been involved in football and certainly junior football and semi-pro, if my player is being cautioned twice inside 3 minutes, if I was Martin O'Neill, I'd be tearing strips off him.
Yeah.
Just to you might see me moving back and forward, but I wasn't seasick. But I was just watching the pictures again. But I don't know if you saw it, guys, when we were talking on the show. But that's never a red card. As well, the Hearts boy basically feels trusted behind him. I don't know about you, Des, right? But he actually is playing for the foul.
I can't say he's playing for the foul. I don't know that. But in my opinion, watching it, I think Stephen McLean was entirely correct with his on-field decision. It's a yellow card.
Yellow card, but not a red card. That's what the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah. So Trusty's made that. Trustee made that challenge. Forgive me, I can't remember the Hearts player's name, but the Hearts player, the ball it's not within playing distance. If you look at the Dundee Hearts game the other week there, when we had a red card, when Schwallow gets sent off, the ball was still within 2-3 yards. The ball for this game, it wasn't anywhere near, and you had covering defenders. So, in my opinion, it's not denying all skill scoring opportunity. And John Beaton to overturn Stephen. I would have hoped that Stephen would have a stronger courage and conviction.
The thing is as well, Des, sorry to cut across here, but I'm actually freezing this when I'm speaking to you guys, right? But basically, Kaboli puts his hand out first to feel crusty.
That's what players do.
Hi, Michael. I'm watching it back as well. I think you're right. I think both have run into each other. I don't think Michael. I don't think the Hearts player's intentionally playing for the foul in that situation. Just in my opinion, I think he's trying to get across Trusty. I think they both collide with each other, and I think Des is ultimately right. Probably is a yellow card on field decision, correct?
Yellow card. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, Robbie. Like, but it shouldn't be a kind of red card, and obviously that's why you had like 8 minutes at the end of the game because of this non-singing off, in my opinion.
Yeah, possibly, but at the end of the day, they get the decision wrong, and it wasn't the referee's decision who was wrong; it was the VAR who was wrong.
What about Des? I'm going to move it on a wee bit. Obviously, we can jump back and forth, right? But as Ethan has alluded to, and I can't pronounce the second name either, I'm going to call him Big Tam, the centre forward for Celtic. He picked up a yellow card. Now, that's never a yellow card in my eyes because he was going for the ball. The Hearts player intimidate and impeded him standing his ground.
Ethan, I'll let you go first.
I think yellow was probably. I haven't seen too many angles of it. Obviously, I
didn't think it was a yellow card either, Ethan. Sorry.
No,
Michael.
I think it probably was just because of his reaction. I see what you're saying. I think it was Leonard that sort of stands across him, but I think just for the reaction and the sort of push that maybe as a yellow card. I don't know. I know there was a check for a red. I'll have to see the better replays because on Sky they only showed sort of ones from a distance, so maybe a bit closer up we could get another view on that. But I thought a yellow card was probably the right decision. I don't really have too many complaints with that one, I don't think.
No, I agree. I think a yellow card was fine. It was more frustration than anything else, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, obviously, that was the kind of main headline. I suppose a red card in the game days as well. But I mean, apart from that, do you think he did? I don't know about you, Robbie and Ethan, but I was glad to see him, playing on, because lots of games that you see in the past few seasons, has been blown up for a foul, and that kind of breaks kind of like momentum of the game.
It does. I thought, as Ethan mentioned earlier, I thought there was a lot of fouls, particularly in the second half. I thought it was blowing his whistle quite a lot, but I'm going to be honest, I don't think I'd describe the referee's performance as a game ruiner. I don't think it in the game ruined it and made it any worse or made the game feel any worse. To me, it still felt like a good game between two teams that are both top of the sort of table, first and second. Second at the time, obviously Celtic are in the third now, but I didn't think, in my opinion, it ruined it, to be honest with you. And I know, obviously, the Celtic fans and probably the Celtic players will feel a bit begrudged by the red card, and probably Martin O'Neill will probably say something about it. But again, Michael, I don't think in terms of the actual game and in terms of the actual 98 minutes that we played, that to me it was a good game to watch from a neutral point of view, and I don't think the referee done too much wrong, to be honest with you.
Oh no, I didn't mean that, Robbie. I meant that it was good how he let the game flow, because obviously.
I agree, no, but I'm just saying that I don't think the referee done much wrong in the sort of face here. I don't think he got too much wrong, to be honest, at the 98. So, it was quite a good game to watch. Two teams going at each other, that's all you can really ask for. And it's another good point for Hearts unbeaten against Phil from this season. They'll be buzzing with that, I'm sure.
And even I'm not sure off the top of my head who Celtic's got next Sunday, but I know that they've got a European game on Thursday night against Craig at home. I'm guessing that they're at home next weekend.
Falkirk next Sunday, so not an easy game at all, considering Falkirk's form, and obviously they were really unlucky not to I'd say, probably beat Celtic, even though they lost the game in the reverse fixture a couple weeks ago, even if it probably wasn't even that long ago.
I mean, I think, Bobby, looking at that one, you would put Hearts in the driving seat after today, and you would say, well, that's them out, the three top players, Shankland, Devlin, and Baningame, and they still got a point out of the game. But in saying that's kind of like Celtic folk giving away cheap fouls, and it came back to bite them.
I mentioned earlier, it was two set pieces that both Hearts goals came for. Obviously, they are pretty dangerous for them. Hearts and Rangers, I believe, are the only two teams in the league with a set piece coach, which obviously proves effective in certain situations. So, I'm sure Hearts will feel pretty positive with that. Probably disappointed with the chances they created. They never maybe scored more, but look, they still got the goals that they needed to pick up a point. And Michael, you're right. I mean, you're looking at the running now. We're obviously getting to the split. Rangers have got Hearts have got to travel away to Ibrox, Solihull, Stirling, Edinburgh, Derby at home. These type of games, I'm not sure if Shankland, Birmingham, or Devlin will be back for the Edinburgh, Derby, or Ibrox. But when you're getting into the sort of split, and Hearts will need to play Rangers, Celtic, and maybe Hibs again, if Hibs can get themselves into the top six, they'll need to play them again, but this time they'll have to play, plus the recruitment that they've already done in January. So, they'll be gearing up for a good run. They're not in any other competition, unlike Celtic, potentially, if they win on Thursday. So, they're going to be feeling pretty good about this running. I'm sure Derek McInnes will be feeling good, the players will be feeling it as well, and they'll be hoping to push on and try and make it a memorable season, because I think at this point, Mike, I remember a couple of months ago we were on the show going, all right, get till January time, then we'll come back and if Hearts are tapped, we'll speak about the running, speak about their chances. Well, I think you can say now Hearts have got a pretty good chance at this league, and if they can get it right, they'll do well this season.
One man who's got a lot of criticism this season for Celtic even, and he pulled off some good saves today, was Michael.
Yeah, he certainly did. I thought he had a solid game and made some important saves, especially the one in the first half, or was it the second half? It was the first half one with the Kizridis, but he made another really good save in the second half. The reaction on his right hand. So yeah, I think Schmeichel had a solid game. The 2 goals would have been difficult probably for him to do much. A good header from Stuart Finlay at the near post, and then Braga fires it through a big pack of bodies to get it in for the second goal. So yeah, I don't think Celtic fans can have too many complaints on his performance. He's maybe one of the few that gets pass marks for Celtic today.
I disagree, Ethan. I disagree.
I think he couldn't have done anything about the goals.
I think the Finlay header he still got. It was came to his front post where he's covering. I think that he is a liability at this moment in time, and Celtic need to be looking at a new goalkeeper for next year. I just thought that header, and I agree with what you're saying. He has made some important saves, and he's been involved today. But I thought that for that header, I thought that shouldn't have been a goal. I thought that should have been saved, and it was so close to him.
Yeah, I did think about that, but maybe it's just he's been such a liability recently, as you said, that I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt in this one. But I would certainly agree with the statement that Celtic needed a goalkeeper in the summer. Obviously, his contract's up, so you would expect.
Do you know who I would look at?
Who would you look at?
And it won't be a popular decision. See Shamal George at St Mirren. I think he is a fantastic goalkeeper.
Don't tell Robin that.
I'd agree. I've been able to watch him more than I've probably watched Michael this season, to be honest with you. I think you're right. I think you're spot on. He's a far better goalkeeper than St Mirren's level, and that's no disrespect to us, by the way, but I've seen it at Livingston as well. I thought at Livingston he was superb. I said I would have taken him at St Mirren. I'm glad we've got him, but to be honest with you, I'm not really seeing us keep him to be on the end of the season, which is a shame. But no, I'd agree with that, to be honest with you. It'll not be a popular choice, you're right, amongst the Celtic fans, but it's definitely a good enough goalkeeper, in my opinion, for that level.
And why are you going looking for people out with your own territory as well? So the guy knows the league, knows the players, knowing what he's doing, and he's proven and he's trusted. I think it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, quite possibly. And I think that's maybe the problem that the Celtic have maybe had this season. And well, maybe not the problem they've had, but it's a route they could certainly go down, because I think the league across the whole of the league is the strongest it's been in quite a while. There's a lot of players from a lot of teams that Celtic and Rangers could look at, probably turn their nose up at most of them, as they usually do. But yeah, I think there's a lot of quality across almost every team in the league that could be an asset to Celtic, Rangers, and now probably you put Hearts in that conversation.
Let's speak about Hearts, guys. You know, I feel though that they're getting better and better. Obviously, I spoke to Barry Anderson on Friday, Robbie, and I was saying to him that it would be quite interesting how Hearts bounce back, because obviously the defeat to Falkirk, the penalty kicks and all that, whereas they had a whole week to prepare for the game. But I thought they did well to you. Okay, you could maybe say, yeah, Celtic giving the wee cheap fouls again, but it doesn't matter. Hearts have still got to do their business, and they've done that today.
I don't know about you guys, right, but I felt like there was a lot of talk about, when Shankland and the rest of them, Devlin, Beningame were out, and people were saying, it might only be a case of Hearts will get a draw against Celtic, and ultimately they did. But in my opinion, they're a lot stronger than their 3 players, and Hearts wouldn't be where they are right now if it was just a team consisting of, Shankland, Devlin and Beningame turning up every week. The fact that in my opinion, now they've got a full 11 plus a bench that are very, very strong. If one drops out, one can come in and be just as good. To me, missing Shankland and stuff, it's going to hurt any team, but to me, Hearts are a lot stronger than that, and I think they showed that today. I think with the next couple of games, I know they're away at Tannadice and then come to Paisley in the next couple of weeks, and then Edinburgh Derby, which will be tough. Then I think it is Ibrox after that. So the next sort of 4 games, really, I'm looking at it now and I'm going, right, well, they might be missing Devlin, Beningame and Shankland, but their team's just as strong and their team's good enough to kick on and go and pick up points in all their games. So I don't know. I think people maybe underestimated Hearts going into this weekend, Mike, and I think they definitely showed that they could have won the game if chances were maybe put away and the game went a bit differently. But ultimately, it's a good point against a team that are right behind them. So I'm sure they'll be happy with this weekend and they'll be looking to try and kick on again with a couple of tough away games coming next.
I mean, that's a good point like you made, Robbie, because Des, I mean, Spittle nearly come on for the bench and nearly scored the winning goal for Hearts.
I think Blair Spittle can find himself a wee bit unfortunate this year. I think he's a fantastic player. Also, Derek's got his side and the way he plays, and Blair's been coming off the bench and having impacts. But if you take him out of Hearts, Blair Spittle would play with most teams. In fact, okay, take it out of that. Blair Spittle would play with any of the top 4 teams in the SPL. Blair Spittle's a fantastic player, full of energy, always creates opportunities. Yeah, I think he can find himself unfortunate. Yes, the shot he had in the game, it ricocheted off about 24 bodies or something like that when he's put it in. But but it just shows you the riches that Hearts have at this moment in time, and they will add to. The boy they brought up, what's the Ukrainian boy? Is it Cheskinov?
Chesnikov, yeah. Aslan
Chesnikov. I mean, we never seen him today. And Tony Bloom was in the stand. So they'll go and they'll reload. So I think Hearts are right in this. And without being an Old Firm fan, I think it'd be great to see somebody different win it and just put a wee cat among the pigeons there.
I think it would be good for Scottish football. I kind of wrote a blog about this for a week, even because obviously we've spent the best part of maybe 40 years or whatever talking about Celtic or Rangers winning the league. But I mean, there's other stories in the league. There's like Hearts, Motherwell, Hibs. Okay, they fought yesterday. David Glace doing a brilliant job. Up until yesterday, you've got John McGlynn doing a brilliant job at Falkirk as well. So there's actually stories all over the league. And that must be good for Scottish football.
Yeah, and then you look at even yesterday's results, some excellent games. Aberdeen Levy had a lot of action, a lot of goals. Motherwell winning again with another clean sheet. And then Falkirk beating Hibs. I think maybe a few people would have tipped Falkirk to win that, but I don't think they would have tipped it in the margin they did, and certainly not probably a Barney Stewart hat-trick without him having scored a Premiership goal before. So, yeah, and then today's games, I don't know how the Rangers Dundee game really went. It seemed quite one-sided, but then again, barring the penalty the Rangers got at the start of the second half, Stephen Presley's team hold out until injury time before Rangers get the next 2 goals. So, yeah, I think what we've seen is that almost all the teams have maybe at the minute leave Kilmarnock and Livingston out of it, because I think they're the 2 weakest teams in the league by maybe quite a distance. If you're maybe Robbie will want to not add St Mirren into that pack. I think every team can compete with each other and take points off each other, and I think that's what we've seen this season. It makes for a really entertaining league, and that's why I think even Celtic being it would be 2 points behind Rangers and 6 behind Hearts, that I don't think they're out of it. I think they've got the slimmest chance of the 3, and I think there's little to no margin for error, but I still think there's a chance, because I think all the teams, especially when we get to that split, I don't think, like in the past, that it's going to be a formality for any teams to pick up maximum points.
And Michael, let's not forget as well, we're looking at a season potentially where the Old Firm don't win a trophy. It's a long shot, and both Celtic and Rangers are probably favourites, high favourites to go through in the next round of the Cup anyway. But you're looking at one cup already done, someone of course winning that. You're looking at the league, Hearts being tapped. If another team outside of that wins the Scottish Cup outside Rangers and Celtic, we could be looking at a whole season where Celtic and Rangers don't lift a cup throughout the whole season. So, what a story that would be for Scottish football in itself. And you're looking at Dundee's story, of course, they're not exactly in the top six or overachieving the mark by extraordinary scenes, but everybody had them sitting bottom of the league, before the season started, and everybody had Presley being sacked and all the rest of it. So for them, that's a pretty good season they're on right now as well. So there's a lot of good stories, and if we get to the end of the season and Hearts have won the league, then that'll maybe be the biggest story of them all, to be fair.
And you'll hear every kick of the ball here if you join the Scottish Football Zone on YouTube, and you will be kept up to date with all the games as well. A wee shout out. I feel as though it's a Saturday night, and I have a wee shout out for my next door neighbour, man. Tomorrow night, we've got Anthony Joseph coming on from Sky Sports. He is going to be talking about the transfer window. So join us tomorrow at 6 o'clock only on the Scottish Football Zone. And the only way that you can see that show is subscribing to the YouTube channel as the Scottish Football Zone. And then on Tuesday night, we'll be having a show about women's football. So join us from 7 o'clock for that one. And then we'll be back on Thursday night for the games in Europe, and we'll be back. In fact, Abbotsville been on all week. Actually, we'll be on Thursday night and Friday night, and maybe Saturday night. No, I'm only kidding on. And we get live outside here. Before Robbie says it, yeah, I do get out this bunker sometimes once a year. As well. So let's speak about obviously the other game at Ibrox today. For the Rangers 3, Dundee 0. I always say, Robbie, we didn't see any of the game, but it seemed quite comfortable for Rangers in the end. But I think Rangers got a breakthrough through, was it Tavernier with a penalty, and up to that point you were maybe thinking, well, it would be a kind of doggy performance from Dundee, but Rangers got the breakthrough and they got 3 points.
Aye, and I think when you're speaking about managers that are going to be most happy today, Danny Rose probably right at the top of that list. I think he'll be really pleased. A clean sheet against a Dundee team that were fit and firing getting into this game. I know they'd obviously lost to Hearts at home a couple of weeks ago, but bar that, they'd won the derby, they'd beaten Kilmarnock away in the cup, they'd been in some good form. I think they'd won at Tannadice as well. So going into that game, it was never going to be a run over for Rangers. I know it seemed that way with the scoreline, but there was only one goal in it until injury time. Obviously that penalty comes with Tavernier. No seen it. I can't say whether it was a penalty or no, to be honest. We're going to watch it back later, but it's another 3 points for Rangers, Michael, and that's what it needs to be right now for Rangers. They just need to be getting one. Of course, there was 2 new player debuts, and Scott Wilson, and I'm not going to try and pronounce the other guy's name. I've tried, but I can't get it yet. So, there was 2 of them in there. I think Rangers fans, Michael, for a bit of gathered. Some of them are feeling nervous going to Ibrox today, which, you're looking at home at Dundee and think why, but you only need to look at the other game to realise why. And I think for Rangers, they'll just be happy they're back up into second. And we say it all the time, but how good a job Danny Rose actually done can't go underestimated. He's come in, he's got them only a few points behind Hearts now, compared to where they sort of were when Danny Rose took it of the club. But that's an extraordinary turnaround, and it'll only keep going as long as they keep winning. They'll be feeling early moon, and I know they're playing Polo on Thursday in a game that relatively doesn't mean anything, but they're away to Hibs next, and again it'll be another test of character for Danny Rowe and his players. They need to go there, take advantage of a Hibs team that, let's be honest, are not doing very well. So I think Rangers fans and the Rangers manager, most of all, Michael, I think they'll be the happiest of the bunch today. It was another win, another clean sheet, and they'll just be wanting to push on now and keep this up.
I would, I don't know about you watching the game, Ethan. I'm seeing the pictures coming in from Ibrox as well. I think the second goal, I can't see who quite got the off. Can't see quite got the second goal, but I think it was a mistake in the the Dundee defence. I don't know about you seeing the goals at Ethan.
I haven't seen any of the goals. I've seen the penalty there. I just looked it up on Twitter. I don't know if Dundee can really have any complaints. Raskin does blaze his shot over the bar, and I can't remember what Dundee defender was, tried to block it and makes a late tackle. And it was Danilo and Gassama who got the goals and extra injury time. Sorry to clinch it for Rangers. But as Robbie said, another good win for Danny Rowe, keeps them on that momentum. 8 wins in a row now, and yeah, they'll be really confident when Hearts do come to Ibrox in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, that's going to be another excellent match, and I think that'll probably temporarily decide who my title favourites are after that one.
Robbie's happy this weekend because the game was off, so you never get beat as well. Sorry, Jeff. I forgot we've got 2 St Mirren fans on the show now. So, no, Dundee United and St Mirren game is off. Any idea when that game is going to take place, Des or Robbie? Have you heard a new date for the game? Or?
No, but I know, I can't speak for Dundee United, but I know our fixture list is quite congested right now. I know we're playing like 5 games in 16 days or something like that, so they're going to try and get it in somewhere. But I think it's probably a positive thing, Michael, to be honest with you. The players have been absolutely running the ground, the guys like Phillips, Gogic, and the rest of them, to be honest, every single player, to be honest with you, has been really running the ground the last couple of weeks. So I think a break was needed, to be honest.
I just hope Stephen Robinson's still there when we play the game.
I'd agree. I hope so. I don't know how things are advancing with the Aberdeen job, to be honest with you. I don't know if they're any closer to hiring a manager. I'm assuming after Saturday, you don't really know. But I think I thought after the double header against Rangers, they might have went, right, we might need to get a manager in. I don't think Peter Levine did.
I'll again, I know him. He's a friend. Give the job to Peter Levine. He was fantastic when he done it the first time. He's turned down Wraith Rovers. He's turned down St Johnstone. Get that director of football at the dugout next to him and just let him get on with it. I think Peter Levine is the ideal candidate for the Aberdeen job. He knows the players. He knows the club. He knows the surroundings. What else do you need? Why are you going to bring someone from abroad? Okay, Stephen Robinson can come up, potentially. John McGlynn. Why would John McGlynn leave Falkirk? He's done a fantastic job at Falkirk. He's got a job for life at Falkirk if he wants what he's done the past couple of years. Give Peter Levine the Aberdeen job and just let him go on with it.
Yeah, and by the way, I know Paul Donaldson there commented about Robinson. I hope fans at every club keep writing them off and don't want them, because for us it's better that we keep them for as long as possible. So I'm very happy that there doesn't seem to be too many fans of the club that keen on Robinson. Of course, we don't know if the club spoke to Stephen. I don't, as far as I'm aware, there's obviously been nothing said about that, so we don't know. But as far as a fan point of view, I'm very happy that Aberdeen fans don't want Robinson, because it means we keep him for longer.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, not the biggest thing, I think a contributory factor may be that the vice chairman is now going to Rangers as chief executive, and him and Stephen Robinson had a very close relationship. That's the only thing that I would say that Stephen Robinson may have a differing of opinion.
Yeah, and there was obviously the links as well with Keith Lasley potentially gone. I'm going to assume that's no developed and maybe no happening now. But you're right, it happens all the time, but at a point now with St Mirren where, we've had that sort of 3-4 years of everything's went up, you're going to start losing pieces eventually. It's only natural it happens at a club our sort of size, pieces will start leaving and players will start moving on. I don't think it'll be long before Robinson moves on. I certainly don't think, he'll stay here for another 3 years, to be honest, but I like to think he'll at least see out the season, so I'm relatively happy that he's still here right now.
I would hope he does, because he went down, was it Morecambe he went to, and it didn't really work out terribly well. But he knows the infrastructure up here. He knows the league. I think he's a safe pair of hands. If St Mirren can keep him on a long-term contract, then let him go on with it, because we know St Mirren are a selling club. and that's the way things are going to go. You buy, you develop, you sell.
100%.
Okay, let's move on to the games yesterday, and there was plenty of goals to talk about. Robbie will be here till midnight at this point. Murrow 4, Camargue and a lot of soapy walkout. You were saying maybe that's coming back to bite Camargue about appointing Neil McCann as manager, because I know that a lot of Killie fans weren't happy at Camargue appointing as I say, outside the TV studio into a very cold dugout at Camargue. But as for Motherwell, they go from strength to strength. That's another home win. But yeah, Motherwell, I mean, they are kind of like, I think they will, I know that today's game is Hearts and Celtic to each, but I think Motherwell and Hibs will, and maybe Falkirk will play their part as well to see who will take points off the top two. Sorry, the top three.
I mean, I think that see with Kilmarnock, it's really strange because I watched the sort of first 20 minutes and I actually thought Kilmarnock played all right. I actually thought they were the slightly better team. Motherwell started off very, very slow actually compared to what we're used to seeing with them, and like that's going to naturally happen. They're never going to be able to keep 100% momentum going for every single game. But as soon as that goal came in for Elijah Just and then the red card happens, it completely deflates any momentum Kilmarnock had. And Michael Sunday made a really good point. You know, all the plaudits sort of gone to Maswinishi and Slattery and who's the midfielder, Elliot Watt and all the sort of sorts. But if you want to watch a really, really good football player, somebody really good on the ball, watch Elijah Just for a match. He is phenomenal on the ball. He's a very good dribbler. He's not scared to take players on. And honestly, for me, when I'm watching a player, to me, he's my favourite player watching the league right now. And there's no him that's really close, to be honest. He's really, really fast. He's so quick. He's agile. He's a handful for players to play against. And he's one that's sort of gone under the radar. And I think Motherwell fans will be happy with that. But I don't know what more you can say that it's a class performance from Motherwell. They scored 4 goals, kept a clean sheet again. Ran out the tap of Kilmarnock in the second half. And I don't want to say I told you so, but I did tell you guys when Neil McCann got appointed to be the next manager sacked. And I'm starting to believe that's going to happen. I think he will get sacked at some point. I don't think it'll be anytime soon. I don't think there'll be any managerial sackings for a bit, but I think if results go like this and the sort of next 4 games they keep getting hammered, then I think he might actually get sacked, which is mental because we always speak about managers having time, Michael, but how often can this go on? You know, they've conceded 4 away from home to Motherwell. I know Motherwell are a good team, but he's never really had a pleasing performance as of yet. So he'll be hoping that he can turn it around at home to Aberdeen, or else he might actually find himself sacked soon. But it's a fantastic result for Motherwell, and you know they'll be looking at the top 3 now. You know, as weird as it is to say, and as unusual in Scottish football, they will be looking at that 3rd place and try to push Celtic as far as possible.
Ethan, I think good win for Motherwell yesterday, but I think Goose backing up Robbie's point. I think Motherwell fans would be hoping for the window to be shut tonight because obviously, like there's still 4 and a bit days to go now, and stuff like that, and they'll be sniffing about not just Jost. By the way, I think he's a player of the season so far. Every time I see him, he's impressed. But I mean, they've got. You know, you can name about 4 or 5 players within the Motherwell squad.
Yeah, exactly that. They're going to do well to keep a hold of their main players, especially Tawanda Maswinishi. I think he's the one probably attracting the most attention. Obviously, been linked with both Celtic and Rangers this window. I think they might be able to hold on to all their key assets, which would be absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Jens Berfaska's doing an excellent job at Motherwell. I think there's so many managers in the hat for manager of the season come the climax. So yeah, but Motherwell have been excellent. 4 goals. I know, obviously aided by the red card, which I haven't seen yet for Kilmarnock. but I believe it's just the 2 goals in the last 12 games, I think it is, Motherwell have conceded. They've also not lost a game or conceded a goal at Fir Park since mid-October, which is absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, but Kilmarnock struggles go on. 17 without a win. Neil McCann's only been out of the dugout 3 games, and the Kilmarnock fans seem to be growing frustrated with him. I think some of them have come to the realisation that it's maybe not the manager or the coach's issue. I think maybe the playing staff isn't good enough. I think Neil McCann was saying after the game that they obviously took the lead. I think Kilmarnock goal was chopped up for offside. He said that it looked like guesswork. I don't know if that's clutching at straws. I'll have to see that one again also. And then obviously the red card. But yeah, Elijah Just, I completely agree. I had a bit of a controversial take. I was doing my mid-season team of the season, and I put Elijah Just in my team, but I didn't have Tawanda Maswanisi in my team. That may change come the end of the season with how both of them have been playing recently, and if they continue on that trajectory and Motherwell do, then they'll probably both find their way into that team. But yeah, Elijah Just has been an excellent pick-up for Motherwell, as was Maswanisi last season, and Maswanisi's been on ridiculous form. Scored that great goal for Zimbabwe in the last game of AFCON before they were obviously knocked out in the groups, and he just carried that in to domestic form, and I think he scored in every game since then, or maybe one game that he hasn't scored. But yeah, a really excellent goal from him. I did see that goal, the volley, a really nice finish from him. But Motherwell have got so many great players, and yeah, I think the Motherwell fans are just they can't believe what's going on, how successful they've been this season, how beautiful the football they're playing is as well. And I think some people are even making the case that Motherwell are the best team in the league at the moment, which, based on the recent statistics, you can't really have too much of an argument with. I wouldn't go as that far. I think they still need to take more points and get big wins over the big 3. Obviously, they beat Celtic recently, but did lose at Ibrox. So yeah, I think Motherwell are an excellent watch, and I think they'll push the 3 teams ahead of them right to the end, and could have a massive say in where the title might land come the split fixtures, because I can't see Motherwell dropping out of the top 6 now. I think they're pretty secure in there. Hibs, if they go on a terrible run, which they're kind of starting to look like they might with the recent results, then they might be at risk, especially if Aberdeen can kick on after their result yesterday, and Falkirk have been excellent, as we'll get on to. So yeah, but really worrying for Kelly again, and same again for Motherwell, just solid. And yeah, I think Motherwell I'm not a betting man, and I always say gamble responsibly, but I think a Motherwell home clean sheet's a good bet at the minute.
Ethan, I know you mentioned about Kilmarnock there and the sort of managerial appointment. I don't know about you, but that squad's a bit too good for my liking to be right down where they are, not being able to win any games. I know you were speaking there, and it might be potentially the players aren't good enough. I mean, that might be an aspect, but I thought Chris Doolan got a decent tune at the players. They won the winning every game, and they didn't. I don't think they even won a game under Doolan, but they at least looked promising. And I think you can't say that under McCann so far. I don't think they look like they're wanting to create much. I think maybe the Kelly fans' frustration is they had an option to get Robbie Neilson, and I keep coming back to it. For me, Neilson would have been the superior pick, and it would have been the better pick than Neil McCann. I think he is a good manager. I think he's a guy that knows how to win games, and I think he would get a tune at Kilmarnock. In my opinion, I don't think Neil McCann's a good appointment at all, and I think he will find himself out of the job eventually, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, because I think it was under Kettlewell or was it under Doolan that said? I think that was still Kettlewell actually. But when Kelly went to Celtic Park, and I know Celtic won 4-0 in the last time the 2 teams met, Kilmarnock still looked like they were fighting for their manager, but I think we're starting to see signs that that's maybe not even the case anymore. You look at the disciplinary record over the recent games, 3 red cards in the last 2 games is not great at all. And I think it wasn't last season. No, it was last season. The first half of last season where Kilmarnock had that terrible disciplinary record where they had a ridiculous amount of more red cards than every other team in the Scottish Premiership, and it seems to be returning. So it's something they'll need to get rid of. But yeah, I think Kilmarnock are in big trouble. Really difficult time for their supporters. And I said this the other day, the only upside is that Livingston are on a par, if not worse. That's the only positive that the Kilmarnock fans have at the minute, and probably likewise for Livingston when we get on to them.
Aye, and Michael, just to answer Graham's question, Des did not think it was a red card on Austin Trusty. I thought it was both players sort of colliding with each other, and the ball wasn't even gone towards the net. So I think we all, after rewatching it, I think we all pretty much agreed with that, to be honest with you. But no, Ethan, you're right, and it's weird, right? Because I actually think Kilmarnock have bet more players that I prefer than the Livingston squad. Like if I'm looking at the Kilmarnock squad, I'm looking at Lewis Mayo, I'm looking at Bruce Anderson, Liam Polworth, Greg Kilty, Sleep Brown. I've been really impressed with Sleep Brown. I think although Kilmarnock are conceding a lot of goals, I think he is a decent defender. So, it's so weird because I'm looking at the Kilmarnock, like the actual squad and the players that they've got, and I think it's better than the Livingston team. And it goes far to say there's players in there that I think have the potential that they could be a better team than the Dundee team, to be honest with you. I think that they have that potential, but something's just not clicking right now and something's not showing. And I suppose, Michael, you always say when, winning can be a good mentality to help, but losing can be a bad mentality, and Kilmarnock seem to be stuck in that right now.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, obviously you don't think you see any manager getting the sack, but yeah, I think you're right, Robbie. I think maybe 2 or 3 more wins. He's out the door, back to the old BBC, I think, as well. As well. So yeah, that was a good win for Motherwell yesterday. I was hoping for Des to Des' comments on the Aberdeen game that we'll get to in a minute. David Martindale, Mr. Livingston, get sent off yesterday as they get beat 6-2, but we'll get into that one. But first of all, Ethan, let's go to the Falkirk game. Again, another brilliant team making headway this season in the first season up. Falkirk 4, Hibs 1. I mean, what can you say about John McGrin and Falkirk? I'm running out of things to say. I mean, last season he was in the running for manager of the year. I think you could be seeing him in the running again this season.
Yeah, certainly. That's what I was saying. I think we've got so many coaches that are doing such incredible things this season, and yeah, he's done an excellent job. To come up to the Scottish Premiership is a completely different jump to the League One to the Championship. It's still a big jump, obviously, but it's a bigger one, I would say. And the fact that although it was difficult at first, they were conceding a lot of cheap goals. They've made themselves a really difficult team to beat while playing excellent football. And it's not like Motherwell or teams we've seen in the past where it's their only option is to play out from the back. They can go long, they can switch it. John McGlynn plays to his team's strengths and the opponent's weaknesses, and it works excellently. And this run was coming. They were building up to it. They should have got something against Celtic. They obviously get the result against Hearts on penalties in the Scottish Cup. And Hibs off the back of a really disappointing Scottish Cup exit. And yeah, Falkirk just absolutely dominated them from pretty much minute 1 to 90. And yeah, what a moment for young Barney Stewart. I think he was, the story I heard was he was playing university football a couple of years ago.
Yeah. Harriet Watt University was playing him.
Was it? And then he was on loan at Inverness for the first part of the season. They get him back in, and I writ him off pretty early. After the Celtic game, I thought he did miss one big chance in that game, and I thought that was maybe a problem position for Falkirk, and evidently it was, because they did bring in a couple new strikers over the window, Parkinson and is it Marsh? Is it Louis Marsh? But he's seemed to have proven that he's going to be John McGlynn's man between now and the end of the season. If he can find a consistent run of goals, then he could be an excellent player, another excellent addition to that Falkirk squad. Calvin Miller set us up with 2 goals. Again, he's been excellent. He was brilliant last season in the promotion run, and he's just turned up his levels again. And yeah, they were just excellent, and Hibs couldn't really get near to them. I think I heard on Super Scoreboard at half-time. The report from the ground was that it was one of Falkirk's, if not Falkirk's, best performance of the season, and when you beat Hibs 4-1, it would be. And yeah, I think Falkirk are probably, at the moment, you'd have to say favourites to chase Hibs down for that 5th spot at the minute. Obviously, as we know, teams will have dips in form, but Falkirk are certainly on a high at the minute, and they'll go to Celtic Park filled with confidence that they can go there and get a positive result. Because I don't know why there's no reason why they can't. Because they've been excellent. They should have got something against Celtic in the reverse fixture a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, John McGunn's done a remarkable job. And in contrast, at Easter Road, David Gray's coming under quite a lot of pressure from the Hibs fans, and that's how quick football changes. He went on an excellent run last season after being probably shown the door by the majority of Hibs fans, and now they're going for a sticky spell. They're obviously seeing their Edinburgh rivals still marching on as the title favourites and league leaders, and yeah, it's difficult to look across the city when what's going on at Hibs. And it's not been a bad season by any means, but I think they're just a few poor results in a row, and it's a real negative feeling about the club, and it's on David Gray to get those players up and at it again and go on one of those positive runs, maybe like they did last season, and maybe they can be up there challenging alongside Motherwell for the top 3 positions.
I mean, Robbie, I'm saying to you that the Motherwell fans would be desperate for the window to shut. I suppose you could say that about Falkirk as well. And by the way, I mean, Calvin Miller, what a job that he's gig, and I'm very surprised, guys, that nobody else has took a punt in him. Even your team, Robbie St Mirren.
Aye, Falkirk have taken a bunch of players that, you look at a guy like Barney Stewart, and he rightly so deserves all the headlines. By the way, a phenomenal story to now be playing in the top flight of Scottish football. They've taken these guys and some of them off for League One. They've not exactly just rinsed and repeated and get rid of players in the Championship and then rebuilt in the Prem. They've kept the bulky squad that got them the double promotion. They've been into the Premiership and they're showing no fear. And it'll not be long. I reckon, Michael, before guys like Calvin Miller start getting touted at other clubs, and they're getting rumours of moves away because they deserve it and they've been playing really well. Of course, to get a bit of help off of Scotland's defender Grant Harnley putting the ball into his own net, but it was a phenomenal performance for Falkirk, and they deserve to be in the top 6. I think they will finish in the top 6. I did think Hibs or Aberdeen will not drop it. I thought at the time one of them would drop it, and I still stand by that. I think one of them will not be in the top 6 coming into the season. But the Falkirk story, Michael, for me, is probably the most. What would be the right word? I think they're overachieving the most, if I had to say that, this season. It's a new team, newly promoted, technically double promotion, for League One. So, they were coming up a lot of pressure on their shoulders, to be honest. Stephen's right, they started off pretty slowly. I remember playing them at the Falkirk Stadium when we won 2-1, and I wasn't too impressed with them, but they've really turned a corner, and John McGlynn should be in the running for manager of the season. If he finishes top 6 and even gets into Europe, then he probably deserves it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we speak about Calvin Miller. I think he's the perfect reflection of a player of the transformation of Falkirk as a club. He played in the League One season in 23-24. He played. He scored 11 times. He'd got 15 assists across that season. Then the next season, obviously going up a level in the Championship, he got 12 goals, 11 assists, so 10 goals and 10 assists again in a season. And this season already, he's got 6 goals and 8 assists. So you'd imagine he's going to get 10 goals at that 10 goal, 10 assist mark again, which is a really solid season for a winger. And I think there will be a few clubs around the league looking at him, certainly. Obviously, I remember him playing. I don't know if did he make an appearance for Celtic? Yeah, he did. He made a couple of 5 appearances for Celtic. I do remember him playing. I think he was a fullback when he broke through at Celtic as well. So now obviously he's a creative winger and will probably get some of the best creative numbers in the league, I'd imagine. His crossing, from what I've seen, has been excellent. And I imagine, I haven't seen the goals, but I imagine they probably come from crosses, assisting Barney Stewart. So yeah, he's had an excellent season, and so Falkirk as a team, and yeah, I think they'll be difficult for any team in the Scottish Premiership to beat, as we've seen this season. I think they've taken points off Rangers. I don't think they've taken points off Hearts or Celtic yet, but very close and deserving of taking something off Celtic. We're the last team to beat Motherwell at Fir Park as well. So yeah, I think they'll be right in the top 6 battle. Obviously, Aberdeen, we might get on to next. Well, we will get on to next because it's the only game we haven't covered. But they'll have great momentum going off that big win. So Falkirk will need to watch out for that. But John McGlynn will be focusing on his own players, and he'll be confident that they can bring home, which would be another newly promoted team in the Scottish Premiership getting top 6. It's been a run of, if they were to get it, I think it'd be 3 seasons in a row, would it be, after both the Dundee clubs do it? So yeah. That's excellent, and shows that there's a real opportunity for teams getting promoted to really go and have a go at it. Obviously, I think Livingston are the perfect example against that the last 2 times they've been promoted. But no, you can really have a go at it, the Scottish Premiership, and it's really entertaining and nice to see.
I mean, Robbie, if there's any Falkirk fans watching, I'm sorry what I'm about to say, but I mean, if John McGlynn does move on late next season, I don't think I think he'll be daft to move this season, right? But could you imagine the job that he would do would be more of a budget with a sustainable team in the Premiership?
I think you can say that about a lot of teams, to be honest with you. You know, that always comes up with Robinson as well. You know, what happens if you give him maybe a budget? What's he going to achieve? I suppose Reagan would argue what would happen if David Martindale had a bigger budget, but I think a guy like John McGlynn, look, I don't think he's going to leave. I don't see why you would need to. You know, if he can get Falkirk into top 6 and even potentially a European place, which I don't know if it's top 5 this season, it might only be top 4, but if he can somehow pull out that European position, or even just get in the top 6, why would they want to leave? Why would you want to get it up after 3 years and I think it's 8 months right now? You know, you wouldn't want to get it up. It's going to want to keep building, try and achieve as much as possible. And you know, they're a real good force in the Premiership. And Ethan's right, there's some good stories. You know, you're looking at the Championship and teams that can potentially come up. I'm excited by some of the teams. You're looking at your Uniteds, your Partick Thistles, St Johnstone under Simo Valakari. You know, what are these teams going to do if they come up? You know, what sort of threats are they going to be to the league? I think they'll be good. So, it's some really good stories in the league this season. I think John McGlynn's another one of them. You know, Michael, I was actually listening to Super Scoreboard and listening to Hugh Keevans talking about McGlynn. They were saying oh, why would Celtic want to go for a 64-year-old, or why would Aberdeen want to go for a 64-year-old? I don't think age matters, and it shouldn't. You know, he's proven that he can compete. He's proven that he can be in there and doing it, and he's got that Falkirk team absolutely flying. So I credit to him and credit to the team as well.
Yeah, okay, I don't know. Sorry, Michael, I was just going to make a last point. I don't know if there's many teams, if their current managers were to leave, because I know there's some excellent managers in the league, but if there were current managers were to go into new jobs or whatever was to happen, I don't know if there's many teams that would turn their nose up at, well, there probably would be, but whether there should be a lot of teams that turn their nose up at John McGlynn's another question. And Falkirk are a massive club in Scottish football. They sold an excellent amount of season tickets. They've got an excellent support. So there's no reason why John McGlynn can't turn them back into one of the biggest teams in Scotland that are, like obviously Robbie's St Mirren team have done in recent years, consistently striving for those top 6 places. So yeah, I don't think he'll be moving, certainly before the summer, and even then I don't imagine him going far.
It's okay, I'll forgive Robbie and Ethan for talking about that other radio station and stuff like that, yeah. But no. But on your point, like Robbie, what True Stevens was saying there you go, I've said it as well. But about John McGlynn, Martin O'Neill. I saw lots of Rangers fans saying, "Oh, you're going to the old folks' home to get Martin O'Neill out the home." Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what age they are, as long as they still go at it. And the best example that I could give you was, maybe managers all over the world, but I mean, you just have to look at Crystal Palace a few seasons ago with Roy Hodgson as well.
Well, Michael, you can't win. You know, Celtic appoint Martin O'Neill back, he's too old. John McGlynn at Falkirk, too old. Danny Rowe at Rangers, too inexperienced, too young. You cannot win as a manager. Stephen Robinson, too inexperienced to win the day well at top level, like Celtic or Rangers. There is an argument for literally everything, but these managers are playing in the Premiership in the Premiership for a reason. You know, they're up there for a reason. They clearly have what it takes. Some of the Championship managers are some really young ones in that league. Mark Wilson, obviously the standout out of the pick because how well he's done with us for this season. He's got what it takes to manage in the Championship. I'm sure if you gave him a bigger team with a bigger budget, he'd do well, with the right coaching team behind him. In football, you're right. You know, if you're too, I don't think there's a perfect age. You know, there isn't an age where somebody will only pick a problem with a manager. But you know, guys like McGlynn, I'd bite your horn off for a manager like McGlynn. It's the one, of course, if Robinson's not here. That is, you know, I'd bite your horn off to take John Discipline. And I'd say that about most managers in the league, to be honest with you, that are doing well right now. It's just one of the things. People will always find an argument for a manager. You know, everybody, there was even Rangers fans writing off Danny Rowe when he got hired, saying he might not be experienced enough. He's barely had any actual managerial experience. He's only had a few coaching gigs. Well, I think he's proven every single Rangers fan in any doubt or rank, to be honest with you. And John McGlynn's done the same. So, full credit to him. Of course, on the flip side of that, Michael, you do have a a youngish manager that seems to be struggling to find consistency in Hibs and David Gray, a manager that, as Ethan mentioned, went on a terrific run of form at the end of last season. Absolutely flying, but under his tenure so far, have Hibs ever actually been able to find proper consistency at a season? You know, you can have good moments at Hibs, but then they come with the bad moments, and that's what you're seeing this season. Hibs conceding 4 goals away to Falkirk. Look, it's no disrespect to John McGlynn at Falkirk, but that shouldn't be happening. Hibs shouldn't be going away to Falkirk and losing 4 goals if they want to sort of be up there. So there's a lot that needs to change at Hibs, I think. You know, the fans are sort of getting a bit fed up. I don't know what needs to change. I don't know if the tactics need to change or what, but I definitely think there needs to be a sort of reset button in Edinburgh, because it's becoming a bit worrying now, I think, for Hibs fans.
Okay, let's move on to the last game of the weekend, and I'm going to be a bit of humble pie, Ethan, right? Because on Friday I said this has got 0-0 written all over it. What do I know? That's why I'm sitting here. By the way, it's nice and hot in here. It is Aberdeen 6, Livingston 2, and David Martindale, Mr. Livingston, gets sent off, and I don't think he was a happy chappy during the game, but I think this was the game, one of the games of the day, Ethan.
Yeah, it was. It probably was game of the day in terms of the goals and the drama, the red cards, the David Martindale getting sent off, as you mentioned. And yeah, some really well worked goals as well from Aberdeen point of view. I would say more so. I did managed to see the highlights of this one, and some good goals. Balavic, decent goal from him to start, and then you don't expect Livingston to pull a couple back in a few minutes and go ahead. I'll say quite scrappy goals from Livingston, but they get them in and they won't care at that point in time, especially with the position they're in the league. They'll take any points, and they thought they were going to make it really difficult for Aberdeen, and then Kevin Nisbet scores 2 almost identical goals in injury time to put Aberdeen back in front. And then we get the red cards for Jack Milne and Jeremy Bukia. I'm sure you guys have seen, and most people have seen, that there's obviously been an investigation into racial abuse of Jeremy Bukia, and I'm guessing we'll see what happens with that in the coming days. Hopefully that wasn't the case, because we never like to see that in a game, and it just shouldn't happen in society, of course, in general. And it would have spoiled an absolutely excellent game as well. But both teams go down to 10 men, and then it looks like Livingston sort of collapsed after that, really. And Aberdeen get the 3 goals, 2 of them coming quite late on. Nelson gets a goal, which I would sort of associate with him as a player. It wasn't the prettiest of goals. He's never really been the prettiest of players. Nothing against him, but that's just the style of player he is. And then Toby Keskinen gets 2 nice goals in the final few minutes. But I feel like the Livingston playing with 10 men, the playing against St Mirren during the week maybe caught up to them in that way, that they're playing extra minutes on sort of tired legs. But credit to Aberdeen, credit to Peter leaving. Big result for him, big result for Aberdeen. Would have been a really poor one if they had dropped points at home to Livy. So they'll be hoping to get on a forward trajectory now and chase down those teams in the top 6 like Hibs. So probably the most hesitant, I would say, at the minute, based on their recent form.
Ethan, see if you had a button in front of you right now, right, that could sack David Martindale, would you have pressed it by now?
No. I don't know. It's a difficult one. Maybe. I don't think I watched Livingston enough to really make an educated decision on that. But it's been so poor. But then again, they're in touching distance of Kelly. How many points? 3 points behind Kelly. So it's fine margins. And I know the relegation playoff, it doesn't mean safety by any means, as we seen last season. But obviously, County going down and Livy coming up. But yeah, I don't know. It's a really difficult one. I think he's maybe on a shaky peg, but I don't know. He's done so much for Livingston, and could someone else come in and do better? Possibly. Are Livingston willing to take that risk? I don't think they will. I think they'll stick with David Martindale unless it gets really poor and Kilmarnock sort of pull away. But even then, you're probably talking about it being too little, too late. And I don't think Kilmarnock are capable of pulling away. I think they too will be in the dogfight right until the end of the season. And I think St Mirren will probably go unpunished for their terrible domestic run recently because of how bad those 2 sides below them are. But yeah,
I don't see a manager that's not won since the 9th of August and is still in a job. That, to me, and I know there's so much more to it than that, by the way, and I know it's about Livingston, David Martindale and his connection with the club, but to me, no manager in football should survive that. And I'm baffled that David Martindale has, and it's no, you know what it is for me, right? It's listening to the chairman coming out and being all happy jolly about it, try to be optimistic, try to be positive. Every Livingston fan that's online wants him gone, and they should come first. That's, I think, for me, that's the biggest frustration out of this. The chairman doesn't seem to care what the fans think, and the fans have made it very clear that they want David Martindale sacked. So I just don't think a manager that's not won a game since the 9th of August can survive. And he's going to. By the way, he will get to the end of the season. The chairman said he's got no intention of sacking him, so he's not going to get sacked. But yeah, you're telling me any other club in this league, if a manager didn't win a game since the 9th of August, it'd still be in a job? I wouldn't believe you. Every other manager would get sacked in the league.
By the way, I know that we're talking about David Martindale and all that, but on the theme of managers, Ethan, like, are you not surprised that Aberdeen's not appointed a manager yet? I mean, Des backs Peter leaving, getting the job. I don't know. I think it's because it's pals with Des or whatever, but I mean, I think like Aberdeen should appoint a manager soon. I mean, you don't hear anybody linked to the job as well, and I don't know what Paul Donaldson thinks about it, but I mean, Aberdeen's a big club. You know, they deserve more than this.
Yeah, exactly. And it's getting to the point where maybe you are just better sticking with Peter leaving and giving him the job possibly until the end of the season, and then maybe seeing where he can take it from there, seeing how well he does in it. But we've seen this season, bringing managers in, especially you'd imagine Aberdeen are going to go for someone that's not from Scotland and not managed in the league before, based off what they went for recently. It's difficult for a new manager to come in and completely flip things, and you know they don't have to do that. And I think Wilfred Nancy's obviously the perfect example of Celtic and how much a disaster that was. That maybe you're better waiting until the summer. There'll be more managers free. There'll be more managers willing to come to Aberdeen. So yeah, I think I agree with Paul Donaldson. I think that's probably where Aberdeen go next. I think it will be Peter leaving until the end of the season. and then maybe to reevaluate there. If he's done well, he's maybe kept them, got them a good run in the Scottish Cup, and maybe got them back into the top 6 of the European places, then he can put himself as a candidate. But if not, then they'd probably look elsewhere and go back down the foreign route, which they've had success and disappointment with recently. Obviously, Jamie Tilleen brought the success of the Scottish Cup, but overall, consistently, it was probably it was a disappointment. And that's ultimately why he lost his job.
Yeah, and Michael, just on that, had they lost to Raith Rovers at the weekend, I probably would have come on the show and told you that they probably need to get a new manager in, just because I'm going to be honest, after the 2 games at Ibrox, I thought they would have been tempted to bring another manager, and I didn't think Aberdeen looked too optimistic, to be honest. I didn't think they were showing much. Obviously got through a Raith and then a pretty big win against Livingston, which was needed. I think you're right, Ethan. I think they probably will keep him on to the end of the season. I think that's a smart choice as well. He just needs to build a bit of consistency at Aberdeen, because there's no doubt the squad's good enough as there's players. And I think if you were to ask Paul, and he'd probably say, look, aye, the players are good enough, but there probably does need to be some changes in the summer. And I get that, the recruitment will need to be better, but their players are good enough for a top 6 finish, let's be honest. They're more than capable. So it's just about hitting that run of form. Aberdeen next, they've got Kilmarnock, Celtic and then Motherwell, so it's by no means an easy run again for Aberdeen coming up next, but you'll just want to try and build as much momentum as possible, get into the sort of running for the season, because I know we're in January still, guys, but there actually isn't that long till the split now, but we are really in the running for the rest of the season. So it's where you're really going to see the best out of teams and see what teams are actually made and see what they can do for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and just maybe one of the final points I have on Aberdeen is that a result like this can do massive things for a team. Winning so convincingly, by scoring so many goals. It's the most Aberdeen have scored in a league game in a few years. The players will react to that and they'll buy into what Leaving's doing, and that's the type of thing that grows unity between the players and the coaching staff, and then they take confidence into these. I know they've got Kilmarnock next, which going to Rugby Park they'll expect to win, although maybe Neil McCann will look at it as a result he can get something and some sort of positivity for the team from Ayrshire. And then obviously they've got those 2 really difficult games against Celtic and Motherwell next, but I don't think there is really many easy runs, so to say, in the league at the minute, because every team's a different and difficult challenge, apart from Livingston and Kilmarnock. But then again, you don't want to be the team to let up against them, and that'll be the thing that Peter Leaving and these players are faced with next weekend. So yeah, this could be a massive momentum shifting result for Aberdeen, and Paul Donaldson and the rest of the Don supporters will be hoping that's the case, and they can go on a real run between now and the split to force themselves into that top 6, and then can reevaluate looking at their aspirations from European football. And with 2 of the big teams above them in the league out of the Scottish Cup, there's no reason why they can't go on a similar run to they did last season, and then funny things can happen in the final, like we've seen. Everyone wrote Aberdeen off, including Aberdeen fans themselves, and they obviously come away with the cup, and that's what football is all about. So yeah, there's still a lot to be fought for this season for Aberdeen, and I think the more smart and sensible decision is probably to give Leaving the job until the end of the campaign, and then reevaluate from there and get a manager in early, identify a candidate before the summer comes around, get him in early, get him a full pre-season, try and get some players that he wants, because there's obviously a lot of players in that Aberdeen squad that maybe the next manager that comes in won't be a fan of, or won't be into the system that he wants to play. So yeah, it's always difficult switching managers, but I think the best scenario for Aberdeen is probably to stick with Leaving until the end of the season.
See, I think just a quick one on Livingston before we finish, Robbie. I think that's the comparison between Falkirk and Livingston. And Falkirk came up this season, and brilliant stew season's got to make the top 6 as it's looking at the moment. But that's a difference, because I would imagine Falkirk is slightly having more of a budget and a kind of bigger fan base. I know I keep going on about Livingston not having a fan base every week, and I'm sorry, but that's the honest truth. But I just feel as though Livingston's not got a lot of money, and that's the difference separating Libby and Falkirk at the moment.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't think that with the way Livy have recruited this season. I mean, they signed a whole lot of players before the season started, and they've signed a few in January as well. So they're not afraid to chuck money about, Michael. But you're right that I think the frustrating thing for Livingston is they've not got many fans. You're right, and it is a shame for them. It's hard when you're where Livingston are to sort of build a fan base and get people along, but I think the frustration is, Michael, the fans at Livingston Day are not getting listened to. The Livingston fans against us in both games made it very clear that they thought of David Martindale, and that's not even just me saying that. And I don't want to seem like I keep poking a stick at the guy. He's gone through a really tough run it, and he's gone through a really bad streak. But the fans want him. That's the big thing. The club should be listening to what the fans want, and the fans clearly aren't happy with David Martindale. And they've not been for a while, so I don't know where the club go for that. I mean, the chairman still seems pretty optimistic. He still thinks they can survive. Ethan's right; they're not a million miles away from it. So, as long as they're still in there, then that's all that matters. But my personal opinion is they're done. To be honest with you, I think they're done already. I don't see a way back for them, to be honest. And I think even if they go to the relegation playoff, I think a team like Partick Thistle or Ayr take care of them. To be honest with you, the playoffs. So, I don't know where Livingston go for you. I don't even know where Livingston go next season because. It's such a double-edged sword. Ethan's right. If you sack David Martindale, is another manager going to do better? Potentially not. But the flip side to that is you don't know until you try. And until Livingston try something different, it's, for me, going to keep being the same results.
There you go. That's your weekend roundup there. And we did get me a plastic bag to put it in because I don't like paying 5 pence for a bag or whatever it is in shop. Maybe we could ask Ethan how much a plastic bag is now.
I don't even know. I think you get different bag prices. That's not my department.
It's 15p for one of your plastic bags these days.
15p. There you go. You've heard it here first. We go from football to shopping. What else can we speak about next? I wonder why. I've got a few ideas. Tomorrow night, draw your attention to this one. We've got Anthony Joseph from Sky Sports on. You'll be seeing my lovely face again, Robbie's beautiful face in Reagan. Tomorrow night at 6 o'clock, be here. You can ask Anthony Joseph anything you want about transfer business coming in and out of your club. So join us for that one. The only way that you'll get to see it is subscribe to the YouTube channel. It is the Scottish Football Zone, and you can find us on TikTok as well. I need to get my teeth in the right way to say TikTok because it's in some completely different.
Michael, just before we wrap up, but we've sort of covered all the Premiership games, I know, and I don't want to spend too much longer, but my manager of the week goes to Neil Lennon. A 1-0 win at St Johnstone, clean sheet, really opens the Championship up. And my favourite moment of the week goes to the Friday night game between Arbroath and Greenock Morton, which if you watched it, you'd know how funny it was because the goalkeepers couldn't even take goal kicks. It was that funny. But no, I thought I'd just give a shout out to Neil because I know it's been one of the roughest seasons I think he'll ever go through in his managerial career. But to go away to St Johnstone, who have been absolutely high flying this season, get the win, keep a clean sheet, and really open himself up to a playoff position, it's a brilliant result for him.
Yeah, that's a good shout, Ethan, as well, because he's had a difficult start to the year, but I think it was last year as well that he lost his mum as well, and don't forget that one against Hibs as well last year.
Excellent start to the year for Neil Lennon on the pitch. Obviously, off the pitch matters. Not too great, but it's nice to see that he's enjoying his football and still doing really well in the Championship with Dunfermline, and hopefully they can kick on like they have done and really make a run at the the playoffs, and maybe they're going to be the next Falkirk. You never know. They had a great support at home to Hibs at East End Park the other week there. So yeah, you never know what could happen in this funny old game of Scottish football. And it's been an excellent weekend of football again, and hopefully it continues, and I think it will.
You never know. It's a beautiful game of football, beautiful show, Scottish Football Zone. I think like Donald Trump, that's so beautiful, baby, so beautiful. We'll be in tomorrow night with Anthony Joseph, and then on Tuesday night we'll be doing it. We'll be doing a show dedicated to the world of women's football in Scotland. So join us for that at 7:00, and then we'll be back on Thursday as well. And Friday, the transfer window shut, so it's going to be a busy show as always. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks to Ethan, thanks to Robbie, and thanks to Des. I think he went off early because he was caught offside a few times during that show. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 7:00 with Anthony Joseph.
You're watching the Scottish Football Zone with all the build-up and reactions.